got a chance
opportunity, promotion, blah, blah. You know, those are just words.
Words. All I have to offer is words. Just words.
Nobody cares.
Oh, no.
Nobody cares.
What's going on, my beautiful peoples? Today is a lovely, very, very lovely Saturday. Even though, once again, I have yet to step out, but I kind of feel it.
It's hot.
It's hot outside,
right? It's hot outside.
Yeah. Stepped out yesterday, bro, at night, and I was like, damn, it went from 40 to 80 the next day. So, needless to say, I expressed my concern in previous episodes. Yeah. It's just a little crazy. That other voice that you're hearing on deck is my brother, my main man, Dre Drizzle.
What's going on? What's happening?
How you doing today, baby?
I'm doing pretty good. Very, very excited, bro.
If anything, you know what? I always intro the guests. But considering that today these are your special guests, would you like to intro them, or you want me to follow through with my intro?
We're gonna keep it up. We're gonna keep it the way we do it, man. We're gonna keep it the way we do it. Get me, I'm already excited and nervous, and now you gonna throw me on the spot? We'll mess that up, man. Every time I hear the intro, I don't know why I be hype, and then I be mad nervous. But it's all good though. You do your thing. Bro.
Any mantras for this week?
No mantras, bro.
No,
I'm falling back from the mantras, bro.
You need to get back.
Yeah, I gotta get back on the mantras. I'm trying to stay off TikTok, man. TikTok is too much for me right now. It's a rabbit hole that I can't get out of.
But we could get mantras from other places other than TikTok.
That's facts, though. That's facts, though. Yeah, you're right.
Today, who we have on deck are two very wonderful people that I'm excited to have on to have a nice conversation with, even though we don't know each other. I read up on y'all. My brother Dre has expressed the influence that you guys bring to your circle, your tribe, your community, and so it just excites me even more to have y'all. We'll start off by introducing our wonderful, lovely Andrea Thomas. Right? Wait, what was that? Yes. Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah. I was like, damn. The last names always fuck me up, but I just want to make sure that I got it right. So today we do have Andrea Thomas. So one more time.
There you go.
Thank you so much for having us here today.
So like radio voice professional
yeah.
shit. Like, and that other giggle that you hear in the back is my brother, my man, Mike Fiore.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us, and just appreciate you guys for this platform and this opportunity to be able to come here and speak on the prevention and awareness of fentanyl. So we're looking forward to having this conversation. So thank you both for this opportunity.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I mean, so, you know, not kind of jumping into it, but I'll guess because you're from Cali, from Colorado, so obviously our experiences would vary. But you mentioned you're from, originally from BK, Mike. But in Washington Heights, it's been in very recent times that we've experienced such a very big, I would say, not awareness, but just exposure to fentanyl and fentanyl awareness, mainly because of the syringe litter, because of the needle exchanges and things like that. So, the community, the optics, the news, they don't necessarily shine the awareness of what harm reduction is. They don't share the awareness of, what are the other things in place that where those programs are trying to aid in. What they highlight is the litter, the people in the streets, the homelessness. And so it's one of those things that when you hear from the community, there is this air of lack of empathy and compassion, because there is, in full transparency, there's a very long history of disenfranchising those groups of people that are, users. Even myself, in very recent history, because we had one of the directors, he had a super fucking long title, so I can't remember exactly, but he was some sort of director. Yeah. Not some sort, but he was a director for one of our harm reduction programs nearby called On Point, which is they offer the needle exchange services. We had him here and we had a conversation, and he educated me. And what he gave me the awareness was remembering to humanize people, and going from me and my brain switching the terminologies of junkie and things like that. Like, even when I read it on the fucking New York Post now, I get tight. Like, it shit bothers me. It's like, yo, why are we talking about fellow human beings this way? yes, they're addicts or there's addiction, they need help, but the way that it's put on print, the way that it's communicated to the masses, isn't in a friendly light by any means of wanting to help. So, all that to share is that, within this community, there is a lot. It's because it's highly populated by Dominicans. Dominicans have just Latino culture in general. It's a very, very strong mindset of like, either you can fucking do it or you can't, right? You get by, and if either you're not working, you get out of my streets, go somewhere else, right? Like, we have that type of shit. And, I guess for me, it's more along the lines of trying to understand now of not only just shifting the verbiage, not only just shifting the intentions and the initiatives of helping people, but also defining a somewhat clear roadmap of going from a very, very deep, dark hole struggle to reintegration, not only into society, but into one's life. Because if regular people, and this, I'm not saying regular people in a sense to take away from people in need of help, but I mean, like, just everyday people who do have jobs and all that, they're having trouble finding housing. They're having trouble finding some sort of stability in their lives, right? And when I see people shooting up down my street, which I do see quite often, and it's the same brothers, and now I've built a rapport with them several times. I've seen my brothers even on the verge of death. But I'm trying very logistically to think to myself, what is there? Is there a clear, a somewhat defined path of how can we get back in the fucking game? Like, if that's a fair enough question, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you bring up so many good points. I have so much to say to what you're talking about.
And please, and my bad if I said too much.
No, it's great because the thing with fentanyl, right, is that it's a drug like we've never seen before. So we've always had addiction. And now we have an unsurmountable amount, right? It has grown proportionately or disproportionately, because what happens with fentanyl is there's no safe dose. Like 2 milligrams is either going to take your life or it's going to addict you upon first use, right? None of that's safe. Either way you go, it's all downhill. And so years ago, we thought of addicts in an alley, on the street, homeless, it was them. Now it's everyone, because it has hit every population, every demographic. And so in a case like my daughter, she's unsuspecting, right? So Ashley was alcoholic. She suffered with alcohol for quite some time. And as a result of that, she had pancreatitis.
My bad, you can fix the headphones.
And
try to put them on top of you.
So the pancreatitis causes a lot of pain, and Ashley didn't really like pills, and she didn't have anything, and she needed a pain pill. And her boyfriend gives her a half of a pill, which is what she would normally take if she was going to use a pain pill. It looks like her prescription, and it kills her almost instantly. So in my daughter's case, she was unsuspecting. So fentanyl is taking the unsuspecting, the people that are experimenting. Kids experiment. That's just the way that it is. It's always been. And it's taking people that are suffering already from SUD. So that's a whole different landscape than drugs were 10 years ago. And I'm an affected family member. I hate that term, but that's what it is, right? Yeah. We're impacted.
What term would you use if you had the choice to create one or make one?
I'm a mom whose kid was killed by fentanyl. It destroyed a great part of our family. That we there's no do-over. We can't bring her back.
Yeah.
So, this drug, affected families like me have been out there screaming and shouting from the rooftops, and nobody was listening. I lost my daughter in 2018. Today I talked to a man that lost his son in 2015. I didn't even know what fentanyl was in 2018. So affected families have put it out there. Seems like the rest of the country is starting to come to the party in the last year. And I will tell you, working with Michael in recovery, the recovery community has really changed how we can get our message out there. He's got lived experience. People in recovery have lived experience in putting our stories together. makes a well-rounded picture, and they're reaching so many people through the recovery community. A lot of times you'll find our groups, you know, singing to the choir. No one wants to listen to what we have to say. We're just sad stories, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that my kid's no different than anyone else's, and we're losing all ages. The first story I put out on Ashley, I remember looking at that interview, and it was attached to Facebook, and the first and only comment on her story was, good, another junkie dead.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, if my grandson saw that, you know, Ashley's son was 7 years old at the time, if he saw that in years to come, what would he think of his mother? And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I'm pretty thick-skinned now. I can get through things like that. But we're proud of my daughter. Human life is not disposable. And so although I'm not on the harm reduction side with clean needles and all of those things, I certainly think there's a place for all those pieces to the puzzle. Prevention to me is stopping it before it starts and getting the message out there with education.
Yeah, so the big thing with Andrea and I is the prevention. Like she said, I was on methadone 12 years, 120 milligrams, so that's considered harm reduction. Addict for 20 years, lost both my parents to AIDS from heroin use. Sure. 2 grandmothers, alcoholism, grandfather, heroin, uncle, heroin, right? So like Andrea said, I have the lived experience. When Andrea and I try to do, because harm reduction is one fight you could have. Andrea and I want to get to the kids, right? Because being an addict, fentanyl is not just killing addicts, like Andrea said, the recreational user, the first-time user. So what we're trying to do is change how we speak about it, right? One of the ways to bring awareness is stop using the word overdose. The word overdose means the excessive use of drugs. Taking a half a pill is not considered an excessive use of drugs to me. That's a poisoning.
You're right.
So
I didn't even think of that like that.
We're using the word poisoning because you're being deceived, right? And Ashley thought she was getting a pain pill. She got fentanyl. A lot of people think they're getting cocaine or they Oxycontin or heroin or MDMA. That's what they think they're buying. They're being deceived. So that means there's poison being put into it. I think if we use the word poisoning, what kid that wants to experiment or try for the first time think they're going to overdose on one pill? Explain to them that it's a poisoning, now it makes them think a little bit more. So when we go to the schools nationwide, we speak to the kids. We're not the DARE program, right? I'm not telling these kids not to do drugs. It's not what I'm doing.
Say no to drugs.
Get DARE in your kid's school too by visiting Country Style Donuts.
Andrea's coming from Andrea's coming from a lived experience of losing a child, so they will see what your parent will look like. And then you have me that comes in. I'm gonna let you know what's gonna lead you to using, right? The loss of identity, the people pleasing, the validation, and then the drugs allow you to create an ego, and then your pride comes in. So our main mission is the prevention, is the awareness, the statistics. It's disturbing that COVID came out and within 3 days we knew masks, hand sanitizer, gloves. Fentanyl's out 7 years and you could walk to somebody on the street and they not know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's disturbing to Andrea and I. The word laced means the minority of. These drugs are no longer laced with fentanyl. It's fentanyl laced with whatever drug you're picking up. Right? Like if we could start speaking it into a different light and start helping these kids make better choices, because at the end of the day, the only statistics kids think about are views, followers, and likes, let's be honest, right? So it's not the statistics that we're trying to get to these kids, it's the story, it's feeling it, it's understanding it, meeting them where they're at. There's many ways to fight this. Andrea and I's main concern is the prevention of it, and just get the information out there and flood it with the information, because, they might still want to try it, but maybe if we let them know where it's going to lead you. Every 5 minutes someone's dying. Man. It's not a drug, it's not a pandemic.
It's the number one cause. It's the number one cause of death in America right now.
We're being exterminated. It's the number one leading cause of death to kids 14 and under and 18 and up.
Hold up, wait, for real?
Facts.
So our kids aren't, my older kids, when they were younger, I would think, don't let them go here, don't let them go there, because we don't want to. I don't want them to meet those people, right? I don't want them to get in that situation where they could be exposed to drugs, and that's not the case anymore. Your kid can be sitting in your living room at your kitchen table, and distributors can reach out to them on an app, right?
Yeah.
Like Snapchat.
Yeah.
So Snapchat is out there telling us that they've got safety procedures in place, and our kids continue to die off these apps because we don't have any parental control. it's amazing to me that the general public doesn't see that, and they still have that perception of a drug addict, right? Instead of somebody just like, everyone is somebody's kid, right? My daughter was a mother, a granddaughter, a sister, and the person that gave her this pill, Ashley didn't go to the street to get this pill. It was given to her by her boyfriend that loved her very much, and he didn't intend to kill my daughter. And that's easier for me to say now than it was that day, right? It took me several years to be able to understand that, but he took his life the day after my daughter died.
2 lives.
Fuck.
Two families. I mean, on and on and on and on. An entire community affected by a half of a piece of pill.
Where do you find out where he got the pill from?
He got it from a friend of his. He'd been using himself. He'd been using pills and hiding it from my daughter.
Oh,
and
wow.
my daughter was, drinking alcohol and hiding it from him. Both of them thinking they're helping the other. And, she doesn't have any idea that this pill that looks like her prescription is going to take her life.
Difference. I could put 2 pills in your hand, the real one and the fake one. You can't tell the difference by the eye. You can't taste it. It costs him like 83 cents to make one of these pills. In Montana, they sell as much as 100. So the profit margin's so high. Well, who do they care? Why would they care if who's dying and who's not? Like, they're making so much money off of this that it doesn't matter to them whether you live or die.
And the stigma is outrageous because Ashley, DEA did a federal investigation on this case, and the distributor, they found that he was responsible for 10 other deaths before Ashley, and we did our own investigation and found 14 deaths related to him. So I live in a small rural town. Why didn't I hear about those other people?
That's exactly what I was about to ask. 14 other people, that's a lot of
from
people.
one person.
So they tracked it through the phone, like through phone calls? How they did it?
A lot of things. There was a federal
Wow.
investigation and several different stories. And if they had not been investigating Ashley's or another death not far away from us, they would have never looked at Ashley's death as a fentanyl poisoning. She would have been an overdose, just like all the others. And end of story.
Wow.
So hold up, my bad. This shit is mad heavy.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
And my fault. Like, I cope with laughing, so I'm not like.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm always smiling too, so I don't cry.
Because this shit is just, it's wild to me, right? It's a very, very different. Because just to backtrack, and my awareness of fentanyl very, very limited as well, because I only know of it through people getting laced in heroin, and when they're literally overdosing and these things happen. So that's my awareness of fentanyl directly. Now, how, and you mentioned basically children are taking this, right? Recreationally. That's what you guys
Or
are.
experimental.
Or experimentally, right? Growing up, at most, I would consider smoke weed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now that's a whole nother thing. But, this, I have no privy to what are the effects of fentanyl. Like what is it that you guys think or may know when you go and speak to kids at schools, if they do experiment with this, what is it truly that they're seeking? Because are they like already so are any other drugs are not like the shit anymore, or are they like light? Like, what is it that people are seeking to mess with?
So most of these kids don't even know.
They don't even know. It's just so a very high rate of all this that's happening is accidental.
Yeah, that's why we want to call it a poison. 6 out of 10 pills on the street contain a lethal dose. So like Andrea said, 2 milligrams. You get one of them sugar packets, sweet and low, it's enough to kill 500 people. It's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. So like that's why there's no safe dose. If you happen to survive from it, you're addicted to it. But these kids aren't going out there, let me get fentanyl. They're doing perk, Xanny, Adderall. They're being
and that's
deceived.
how they get into it.
That's why we don't want to call an overdose. Because you say overdose, you think it's like somebody that, like myself, it's a drug addict. No one's exempt. Like you got people that are getting scripts in their 80s and 70s, getting their scripts pulled, going in the street because they have to, do something with their pain, and they're dropping. Like, there's no one exempt until we all become one voice and become the population. Like, change ain't gonna occur. This is not a drug addict's problem. This is everybody. We're losing a whole generation. The same amount of deaths that happened in 9/11, probably more now, happen in this country every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we're losing the same amount of people we did in 9/11. 9/11, we went to war. We were terrorized. This needs to look like it's terrorism. Like, this is a national security risk. You're not going to shut the borders down. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, they not.
So now what do we do now that's here? And this is where I come in with the, the recovery community. We're the secret weapon. We're not picking up the drug, robbing the drug, stealing for the drug, and using the drug. The demand of the drug goes down. We could speak to the kids because kids ain't going to go to cops. Kids ain't going to listen to their parents. My parents were both addicts, and I didn't listen to a word they said about drugs. I still did them anyway. But have somebody that lived through this, that's been in that darkness, that could speak from a place of pain. The kids resonate with me because I'm talking about what they're thinking about. Because most of the time we go to drugs because of a loss of identity or an escape or bored or peer pressure. Have someone that, listen, I was able to have a 20-year career of heroin. I was able to have that. You're not going to have a 20-year career on fentanyl. You're lucky you're going to have a 20-second career on fentanyl. So that's one of the main reasons why Andrea and I's collaboration is so powerful right now, because we're the only ones that are actually joined the two communities, the families impacted and the recovery community, because usually those two don't get along. How many family members do we burn bridges with?
Yeah, of course.
And
A bunch of them.
So we're bringing that whole community together now, and now that's why we're starting to make some noise.
You know what baffles me? Because I work in the field, and I talk to people like me. I'm in recovery, and I talk to the people in recovery, and I work in the field. And when talks come back of somebody that I'm working with, and it says fentanyl on it, the fear is really not there though.
No.
And I don't get why. Like, you get a paperback saying you taking something that's definitely might kill you on the next hit. And a lot of people, so I don't even know how to even go about it sometimes.
So I do all of these, other work, right? We work with legislation and law enforcement and all the things. But I remember doing a focus group maybe about a year and a half ago. And because that's how counties want to do things. We already have the information. Let's pay money for a focus group. So I'm down at a Suboxone clinic, and one of the clients tells me that he would rather use again than detox, because the detox, and he had used heroin for the majority of his life, but he said the detox off of fentanyl was so severe. It was like dealing with the devil, right? It was way worse than a heroin withdrawal. And so when your choice becomes take this and you're probably going to die, or don't take it and you're going to feel like you're dying while alive, how many options do you have then? The composition of these pills I have seen change, and they don't talk a lot about that. When Ashley died, the dealer that was bringing these pills in, people are buying these from him, and they're buying 2, 3, 4 pills, and they're lasting them a couple of days. They're cutting these pills up. They're pretty strong, right? And they like the high. Well, now people are taking upwards of 40, 50, 60 pills in one day. They're lasting about 15 minutes, and there's no high. They're nodding out, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Jesus.
So
how much money are you making then?
To answer you, Dre, the brain, right, or the main function of our central nervous system is to keep us in a comfortable state, right? The brain doesn't know doing the drugs is killing us. It just knows it keeps us comfortable. So that with the fentanyl, not understanding why, the brain is actually telling us to go to it. Because it doesn't want, like, if you're working out, why most people don't work out, because once it gets uncomfortable, your brain is saying, I don't like this.
Shut it off,
right? So it takes a lot of willpower to keep doing those extra push-ups. When we reprogram our brain doing drugs, because it is a mental health thing, right? It's a mental illness. Our brain chemistry was rewired, right? It's telling us to go to the drug. So if you don't have a community, if you don't have people, like, your brain is telling you to go to the drug, and you don't want to go through withdrawal. That's why a lot of society needs to do a little more research on mental health, whether it be Mental Health Awareness Month, right? Like, look what happens with drugs or, chemical imbalance does to the brain. We're so quick to judge people, right?
Yeah.
Live the life for a week and then tell me how easy it is. Or, you know what? You're not addicted to nothing. Stop drinking your coffee. Give me your phone. Stop smoking your cigarettes. Tell me what your mood is. Tell me what your brain's telling you to do. Maybe, like you were saying earlier, maybe if there was a little more empathy and compassion for one another, because I'm a man of God. We're all created in His image, right? We're all children of God. If we could see that, maybe we would do more for each other instead of judging people, and give more mercy to each other. There would be more change. But
and the
that's a perfect world, isn't it?
The narrative with affected families in the beginning was, we've got to stop it. We've got to stop it from coming into the United States, right? Well, that if I had a magic wand, that's what I would do too. But reality is now, this far in, we're deep. How are we going to stop it?
Yeah.
You want to close the borders? Because most of it's coming in from our legal borders, right? It's being flown in. It's coming in every other way. So is that really going to stop all of it? Is that going to stop our problem? Accountability, of course, I believe, is a piece. You cannot go around killing multitude, 10, 14 people, right? And not be accountable for that when you know what you're doing. But the other piece to that is we were not addressing addiction in the beginning. We were only addressing this drug, this poison. And now we have a population of people that's multiplied so big that's addicted. So I see the aftermath. It's too late, the faces that I see. They're already gone. Working with Mike, I see hope. We can't just disregard all the people that we have out there right now that are suffering from addiction from this drug. And now we have Xylazine. What's next?
What's that?
Xylazine is trank dope. They're adding it to...
So
It's a
like you have
tranquilizer.
Narcan. Narcan could bring somebody back to life that's having, that's going through an
reverses
overdose.
an
They weren't
overdose.
poisoned yet. With trank, there is nothing that you could bring you back. Even though it's mixed with fentanyl, there's no Narcan for that. There's no coming back from it. And the people that are shooting up are getting lacerations and holes in their skin and losing limbs.
Amputation.
But it's so potent that it's like people are like just walking zombies right now. So like the whole thing with us, like addiction has to be, right? It has to be addressed. There's a lot of money being pumped into harm reduction. Great, it could help. But I think a lot of that money could also go into treatment facilities.
Absolutely.
And have better, services and hire better personnel and, better therapists and because the addiction piece of it, it's a mental illness. There's many forms of dependency when it comes to addiction. So if we could tackle the illness of addiction rather than the use of the drug of addiction, I think we have more success. But until like it all comes together, harm reduction, prevention, solutions, until everyone starts working together, it's like they have us fighting against each other and we're all trying to save lives, and they'll pump some money here to keep you quiet and pump some money there to keep you quiet. But listen, legislation, their hands are tied a lot of times because bills have to be written and then passed. I ain't got time for that, right?
Fucking billions of dollars.
Everywhere else but here.
Law enforcement really doesn't want to lock people up no more because what's the point? They're coming out tomorrow doing
That's
the
true
same
too,
thing.
yeah.
So it has to be the community, right? It has to be people that, listen, even if you're not someone that's dealt with it yet, like you could still be part of the solution. Find your statistics, find the stats, go to your PTAs in your schools, go to your city hall, ask the legislature what's in place for someone that has an addiction. Like we need to start knocking down doors, and Andrea and I are very persistent with knocking down doors.
Yes, we are.
So like there's so much more that could be being done, and it's just really get the awareness and have that uncomfortable conversation with your child.
Definitely.
Nobody, you think ignorance is going to make this go away. No, ignorance is bliss. You are not going to sweep this underneath the rug. Have the uncomfortable conversation with your child. For whoever's listening, you go to facingfentanylnow.org, has all the updated information, tools, how to speak to kids of different ages, our presentations that we put into schools. Like, have that conversation, because I say it all the time. My parents didn't talk to me about sex. I still had sex, right? So the kids might still try, but at least if you could give them the awareness and what it could happen and what you could do and the signs. We even have the emojis. So if you're a parent listening to this, you go to our site, you'll see the emojis that kids are using to buy drugs on Snapchat. But until we get louder,
What are the emojis?
we don't have.
So if your kid is purchasing drugs online or in an app, they just have to hit a couple of emojis.
Yeah,
so
Snapchat,
I see
there's
that.
specific emojis.
Oh, there's a specific one.
Yeah, like
yo, you gotta
certain
text it to me and
So we could put it on the
because
screen.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know that
drugs
either.
have
So I
certain
see
emojis,
that,
like
you know.
methamphetamine has an ice cube because they call it ice. Things like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
These niggas is crazy.
They're creative.
And
They're
what
creative.
parents are going to know that?
Of
You
course
look at your
not,
kid's
yeah.
phone and you see a couple of cute little emojis.
Yeah,
that doesn't
like,
mean
it's
anything to you.
harmless.
So
right?
Ice Cube is meth.
Yeah, Ice Cube's meant they got so mad. I was even looking at it and I was like, wow, I didn't even know half
Get
of
the
it.
fuck out.
Yeah, and you gotta remember Snapchat. Don't those messages go away in 24
Yeah.
hours? It's
Yeah,
like they
I never
made that
used
so you could
Snapchat,
cheat on
but I
your
heard-
girl
Well, yeah,
or
they
something
did.
like that.
They did, yeah.
So like the messages aren't even being saved. So like like Snapchat, the social media companies need to be held liable because they're not doing enough to knock down these. Don't tell me you can't create an algorithm that
Come
has a certain
on.
type of words in it that you shut it down. But it's kind of like the phone company, right? So the phone company, connects a call between you and I. If something happens on that phone call, we can't hold them liable for connecting the call. So they're kind of moving in that
That's
way.
their safe haven right there.
Area,
Yes, their little gray area, right?
Yeah.
So.
Damn. So talk about your organization and how y'all got together to fight this war.
So I started, I hit the press the day after Ashley's service. And the reason that I did that is because I still don't know what fentanyl is. I've been through this week of hell planning my daughter's service, and my girlfriends pull me in the bathroom and they show me their cell phone, and there's this picture of these 2 little blue pills. And it's a public service announcement from my police department. And it says the pills are dangerous and they could kill you. Well, I know my police department didn't put this out specific to Ashley dying, right? There had to have been others. So we started warning people, and we called the press in, and just hit the ground running and thinking of all kinds of ways that we could reach people that didn't know. And no one knew. It seemed like no one knew. And it was hard to get information. And I started working with a group called Partnerships for Safe Medicines, and they taught me about counterfeit drugs, because there's all kinds that aren't even fentanyl related. So I had a real good base, and started Voices for Awareness. And last year, in an urgency, right? We moms like me stay up all night long trying to think of ways to reach people. And one late night, I thought of this national day and got a calendar date for it, and everybody said that's crazy. People outside of our circle, we don't need a day. We have enough days, right? Enough national days. Well, really, because we lost 107,000 people in 1 year.
Wow.
And we shouldn't recognize that. So we called BS on them, and we continued. And we were very successful last year, bringing other organizations like mine and other affected families together for this National Day. So they have events all over the United States using their own resources, because there's no money for us out there for people that lost their kids to drugs or to this drug. So we have events all over the United States and big social media presence. The DEA came in and supported us on our efforts. We just gained the support of Homeland Security and many other organizations, and we're coming to Times Square for this August 21st, and to have an event with NYPD and like you've never seen before in Times Square. So drug prevention and fentanyl, of course, being the most prevalent drug out there and in everything, but we're going to address all drugs, right? There were moms just like me fighting for what I'm fighting for many years ago with heroin and methamphetamine and all the things, right? So we're going to address all these drugs and trends and bring all the agencies in that can give information and tools to bring prevention and spread awareness.
And then Andrea and I linked up for the first National Day last year, August. Her nephew found me on TikTok. Just talking about TikTok, and he was saying, you gotta meet my aunt. She's doing great work. So I do a lot of motivational speaking. I speak on addiction in a different light. Drea tell you, I find the value in it, right? Because there's a lot. I'm a man of God. All things work together for good, right? So there has to be something good in that darkness to turn it into light. So a lot of my videos, I'm a New York kid. We manipulators, right? So I'm manipulating the manipulation now, right? So I flip the script. I speak about it in a different light. I don't really, I don't talk about the drugs. I talk more about the mindset and things like that. He introduced me to Andrea. I think I was sending her videos for months before I actually started watching them. But reached out to me and had me come speak in Denver, which was an honor. I was the only addict on the stage.
Nice.
Lately, I'm the only addict doing a lot of things right now with Andrea.
Are you currently? Or because
I'm in recovery.
Oh, okay.
I could still consider myself an addict. 'Cause I'm
Even
not
if you were to be fully recovered, would you still use that?
That's the terminology.
I don't like the word recovered with an ED, because for me, I'll get real complacent and think I got this, and I might think about trying something. So for me, I'm not an addict because I use drugs. I use drugs because I'm an addict. I need to always keep on the forefront that my negative thought patterns, my addictive personality, my addictive behavior is what leads me to drugs. The drugs are a very small component of the real issue, right? The difference between sobriety and recovery, or being clean and recovery. Sobriety and being clean is just the absence of drugs. Recovery is working on the problem. me. So this way I'm able to have like sustainable growth because I'm always working on me every day. If I think it's the drug or the drink and it's removed out of my life, I'm gonna get real complacent. I'm gonna get real comfortable. My growing is gonna stop. So that's my way of, you know, that's my way of doing it. So when I linked up with Andrea, even just in Montana this past, so I was the first addict to ever present at a DEA summit.
At a DEA family
summit. And sit on the panel with the U.S. attorney from Montana, the special agent in charge of the DEA in Montana. So when I linked up with Andrea, my mother passed away when I was in treatment, and one of the promises I made to my mother, I made her 3 promises, and one of them was I was going to show the world the value of an addict. Like, we already know the value of one addict to another. I think it's time for us to step out of being anonymous. Start recovering out loud for those that are dying in silence. Recover out loud for these kids that think they want to do drugs. Like, I ask these kids, you want to be 37 and start your life with no money and no nothing? Because that's when I had to start my life.
It sucks.
You know?
I started at 30.
So I promised my mother I would show her the value of an addict to the world, and at the same time inspire people like myself to start stepping out of these rooms and being anonymous, because I personally think recovery should be put on our resume. If an employer knew how much work this takes,
that's not a bad idea.
On a daily basis,
Yeah, that's true, though.
You want to
That's
employ
true,
us.
that's true.
I pray people get to
Yeah,
meet people
yeah,
like Dre and
that's
I in
true.
recovery. We're the most generous, unconditional, loving people you will ever meet. You're articulate, we're intelligent. Like, my message to addicts is like, we're not forsaken, we're chosen. Like, this world is in darkness.
Yeah.
Who better than addicts to show you not just how to get out of the darkness, how to get into the light and prosper, and then become the lamp in someone else's darkness and pull them out. That's my message. So Andrea allowed me the opportunity to start showing the world the value of an addict. And now doors are opening, not just for me, like, doors are opening for all of us now, because we were seen in a certain light, you know, in certain communities, and now people are trying to replicate what Andrea and I have going on, and that's great, because that gives more people like ourselves an opportunity to show the world our value. Because, like, if you're gonna judge me on how I fall and not how I get up, then kick fucking rocks at the end of the day.
It's true.
You know, I see
How you came up with the name Inspired to Inspire?
So Inspire came up while I was in treatment, because I was 37, no education, I'm thinking no money. I'm like, yo, listen, what am I going to do with my life, right? So I was like, all right, what do I know? I know drugs, right? So Inspire basically is, we all have something inside of us that can inspire somebody on their journey, and that is your story. Right? Your story lies in what you overcome, not what you've done. A lot of people are making their story everything they've done in their past. No, your story is the overcoming of your past. That is your story. So I want to promote, like, you're still the architect of your story.
Yo, my bad. I don't mean to cut you off. Say that loud one more time. The overcoming, that shit was fire. You gotta give me a second to drop these bombs, bro. Like, I gotta catch this shit.
By this time, you need a nuke.
Yeah, they fucking flying through these things. I know they part of your speech, bro, but give me like a... What was that line again?
So our stories lie in what we overcome, not what we've done.
You see, now we talking.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Because I think we make the things we've done who we are. I think the things that we've went through and those quote-unquote bad experience, remember I told you my perspective changed. The bad experience should turn into life lessons. You know, therefore your pain could turn into joy, right? Your pain turns into your joy once you stop getting wounded by your pain. You get wiser from your pain. A lot of us are in pain because we keep repeating the same fucking mistakes over and over again. If you could get wiser, your pain becomes less severe. Your pain turns into then joy. You find wisdom, you find clarity, right? I'm a man of God. I'm not telling anyone to go find him. But in the Bible states, perseverance through your trials and tribulations, you will get the crown of life. And that is wisdom. Like, I'm happy. My happiness is a choice today. Yeah. It's not a decision. I don't need A, B, and C to be happy. I'm happy because I'm waking up and I'm not chasing a bag. I'm happy because I don't got people looking for me because I owe them money. I'm happy because I could pick up the blocked numbers on my phone. I'm happy because I'm not afraid of my shadow. Like, my recovery has allowed me to be so content with life that I'm just happy with the opportunity, and I want to be able to give what I have to other people by just sharing my story.
Absolutely.
So the first time I meet Mike, we have a letter out, and it's to the president, and telling him this is a national security crisis and a public health crisis. And Mike knew about the letter, and he was promoting it, and he didn't have any of the terminology that we were using, and he had a lot of F words.
Wait, to the president of the United States.
Yes,
the president of the United States.
I go ahead.
So you just send that straight to the White House, like the White House address, like that. Yeah.
So we've got this letter out, and Mike keeps calling it what were you
petition.
A petition. So he doesn't know a lot about what we're doing, but he's going to come speak on recovery, and he puts all of these videos out about this petition, right? And the night before our August 21st event, we're walking to go eat dinner, and Mike says, "Let me show you something. I got a video to show you." And from the work that he'd been doing, people were seeing it, and there was somebody that was homeless and using, and he made a video and said, "Will you please sign this letter because we're dying out here?" And when I saw that, I knew, like, he's the one. He can get our message where we need it. Because here I've been doing this for 4 years at that point, and not, we're doing a lot of things, but are the people that need to get the message getting it? And I've seen the progress and miracles in him in this last year, and where he was just 1 year ago.
It's crazy. Cause
today.
I know.
Dre
I know.
knows.
Yeah, I know. Cause
So
I work in the facility. Well, both facilities. I work in the outpatient. He was staying in the inpatient program, and part of my job is to do groups, make groups or whatever, right? And the first time I went to go do a group, he was still in the inpatient. And I'm nervous as hell, and I'm like, stop. And he came up to me like, "This is how you speak to the crowd." I already saw the light in him. And then I started seeing him on TikTok, little videos here, a couple of followers here. Now this guy's all over the place. This guy's all over the place.
I got DEAs just coming up to me. Like, I follow you on Instagram.
He's all over the place. So, the drive was
that
ready.
I've been working with for 5 years, and I'm like, "Hello," and they're in law enforcement, DEA, and they're like, "Is that Mike? Is that Mike Fiore?" We've been following him.
How you keep yourself humble like that, though? Like,
I had the right
a
people.
year ago.
I got
there you go.
So like I said, I lost my mother while in treatment. I was 3 weeks off the methadone at that point. And when I lost my mother is when I found this connection to God and stuff like that. And the desire to use was gone. And then I met Andrea, Andrea is like my mom, and Andrea lost Ashley, and I'm like her son. We're not trying to replace what we lost, but we've been given an opportunity now to build something together.
One thing you said, Mike, a long time ago that stuck with me is I didn't know there were so many people out there that were a mom. So here are all of our families, moms and dads, right, impacted by fentanyl, by losing our children. And we're out there trying to get the message out so that no one else's family is devastated like that. And the way that Mike looked at that was all of us rooting for people in recovery, right? And that's exactly it. We are. And so he said, "I didn't realize I had all these moms out there,
And then I had
rooting for me." But it's true.
my mentor
Because we're
in
thrilled.
California, Chief Phil Aguilar, former Hell's Angel guy. He's my mentor. He's a pastor. He turned bikers into Christians.
What?
Like, if you Google him, Phil Aguilar, like, this guy is top of the top. He's in his 70s now. He keeps me humble. My shout out to Set Free Ministries out in Cali. My ministry. They keep me humble. Like, real unconditional love. Like, people excited for the success of each other and building with each other. And if I step out of line a little bit, I get the phone call like, "Yo, homie, bring it down for a second."
Because I asked that question for like, in a year, bro, you made it from an inpatient living with a bunch of people.
Bed bugs,
bunk beds, I think.
Bunk beds.
You know what I'm saying? Eating
broken tiles, towel on the toilet bowl, shower with sandals. I remember it. It was a year ago.
Inpatient living is not easy.
It's not the healthy.
It's not easy. I've been there. It's not easy. But from coming from that to fucking being on Dr. Phil, bro, that's like a, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why how you stay humble, like,
It's for him to answer, but I see the gratitude. I see the gratitude in him. Daniel and I, my grandson, are always joking because we'll say, we're not funded by anyone, so sometimes we'll be at a hotel I'm not particularly fond of, and I'll tell Mike, I don't like this place, we need to go somewhere else. And he reminds me that he used to sleep on the subway. And so he remembers those things very clearly. They don't go away. And so I think that his gratitude shows all the time. And I will tell you, I don't pay Mike. I mean, he's doing this because he believes it to be right, and he can share the message really, really good. And so nobody's putting anything in his pocket.
I mean, God
to
has
do
given
this
me the
every day.
things money can't buy. So I think spirituality is huge. Like I said, I never tell anyone to find God. That's not what Christianity is. Like, I'm not telling people repent. You're going, that's not what Christianity. It's a relationship, right? But spirituality, if I break it down, because I'm the lead group facilitator in Southern Orange County, right? So I run groups and treatment facilities, alumni corner. The way I explain it is your relationship with reality. Are things happening for you or to you? If everything's happening for you, my mentor says you're either humble or you're on the road to being humbled. You get to choose which one you are, right? So like my relationship with reality is that all this is happening for me. So everything has value. If I'm making it happening to me, then I'm going to take it personal. I don't play the victim. I'm not a victim. We're not victims. We're survivors. We have a history of victory. I made every bad choice. I made every bad choice.
Keep your finger on that button.
I made every bad choice and decision and still survived. Like, you know, so if I could just make better choices, you know, that's why they call this a life beyond your wildest dream. But I'm not a victim because my parents, you know, like God's given me the opportunity to break a generational curse. You know, like I come from a long line of addicts. They were great people. We're not bad people. We just make bad choices.
Yeah.
If society could get over the stigma of how they see an addict, you'd be surprised like how much we could bring to society. You know, being productive as a member of society again. And if, you know, Bill Gates said if you run your business like an addict runs their addiction, you would be very successful.
I even know he said
all
that.
the sacrifices and compromises we make for that drug. So like what I teach is that we already been doing everything we need to do to be successful, not just in life and recovery. We've been doing it in our addiction just on the wrong perspective. Just change your perspective, the efforts, the movements, the characteristics. Keep it all the same because we had perseverance. I persevered through a lot of shit to do the drug. I teach us how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I wouldn't shower for weeks. I got comfortable. My addiction grew. I got comfortable with people talking about me and looking at me a certain way. My addiction grew. So like I just look at my addiction, I study the darkness. My darkness now illuminates my path. What keeps me in the light today is the so-called darkness. I just don't act like that person no more. I learn from that person. I love that person. I respect that person. I apply the lessons today so I could problem solve for future opportunities.
Wow.
Yo, I mean, you're dropping a lot of truth, and there's a lot of it's a very heavy, a heavy subject, and you're one person that you're one of the many few that could go over to the other side. What do you share to everyday people to gain more of that compassion, and not only understanding but understanding of what people are going through when they're not either able to get from that one side to the other, or they're still stuck there and there's no coming back. Like, you know, shit, you're telling me about drugs where people are missing limbs? Like, that shit is real. That I don't know how much you could come back from that. Like, that's you know, I don't know, because if I were, and I'm just trying to think outside, like, I would never want to be in anyone's position that is going through such pain. But shit, if I look and I'm missing an arm because I used to shoot up, I don't know if I want to keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just me sharing from my point of view of, like, if that were to be a reminder. So how do you go, how can you work outside of just finding a relationship with spirituality? What is that first step to take? Like, you know, how do you get it? Because shit, I think there's like 20 other motherfucking steps, but it just that first step, because you're talking about being at a certain age, talking about being broke or not being in debt or not having any
starting
money.
all over.
Starting
all over.
Yo, but not even just starting all over. You're at negative.
Yeah, you're at negative.
You know what I'm saying? You're not at fucking zero.
Yeah, you're right.
Zero is when you come from a fucking crib that got your parents, them niggas is financing your shit. You got a house, you ain't paying rent. That's zero.
That's zero, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're negative.
You talking to me about
with the dash at his bread.
That on a good day, you're in a bed bug, bedridden.
That's a good day.
You know what I'm saying? You're sleeping in subways. like shit is real.
Yeah.
So you're not at zero. You at negative. So I'm talking about how do you even get to fucking zero? You know what I mean? Like that. It's heavy, brother. And you know, I'm glad to share this conversation with someone that is clearly, as you describe, on their way. Because we never know what is our way, and the way is a very big subjective point of view. Because shit, you know, you're doing a very big mission, brother, and I applaud you for it.
We both are.
Y'all rocking, and you know, your mission of awareness, and your mission of prevention, like this is real shit. But to the people that, you know, are stuck. What do you say? Because I mean, honestly, Andre, I had no idea that what you're sharing with me, and just so because for me to get all this in my brain, my apologies, I'm processing all of this, is that you know, you're going from the optics of people just doing this drug. Yeah. Now you're telling me that maybe somebody wanted to pop a pill, perk, whatever drugs or whatever the fuck, or a painkiller, because I don't know where the fuck you got this. I have no idea. It's never been my cup of tea. However, this is a reality, and I was never aware of is that you're telling me people going under an assumption of they're getting one thing and they're being poisoned and getting some other shit, and then they hooked on that, and then they fuck. Bottom line, like there's no going back, because what you're expressing me about going from half a pill to 40 fucking pills, this shit is real. And it's what, like, so what is the fucking first step to get away from that? Because let's say, you know, outside of the prevention side, outside of telling people like, yo, I don't even know where you should, you know, forget knowing where you should be buying your drugs from or who you're buying them from. Like, yo, fuck around, don't fuck around. It's don't do drugs on that level, period, right? Like, that's kind of the message at this point, because you don't know what the fuck is what. But the people that are stuck in that in that cycle, and it's a fucking very vicious cycle. What is the step to getting out? Is there a step?
So, like, I guess for a two-part, so if you're someone on the outside looking in, don't try to understand the person's pain. By you trying to understand the person's pain, you're not going to be able to understand their pain. You're going to get very, you know, resentful and angry. Lose the word should, shouldn't, and must. Well, what they, you know, things they need to do. That will remove the judgment, right? Empathy is not sympathy, right? Sympathy causes disconnect. We don't need you to feel bad for us. We need empathy. We don't need you to pick us up off the floor all the time. We just need you guys to sit with us.
But you mentioned we shouldn't feel, but there is that.
Shouldn't try to, like, understand our pain. Sit with us and listen to our pain. Just let us get it out.
You can't make sense of the senseless,
you can't, if you try to, because you can't. The empathy is feeling for someone. You know, sympathy is feeling bad for them. If you give us sympathy, it's going to cause disconnect. We don't need that. We need you to sit with us on. So if we're responsible for the effort, not the outcome. If you couldn't try to control the outcome of my recovery by your efforts, it's going to cause disconnect. You just put the effort in. The outcomes is someone else. As far as someone that's in addiction, right? I say it all the time, and I use Albert Einstein's quote, right? Imagination, knowledge without imagination will limit us, right? Knowledge of self in active addictions that we're a piece of shit, we're worthless, right? Until you get the imagination of living a better life, you're never gonna see it. I'm not telling you have to stop doing drugs today. I'm not telling you gotta stop doing drugs at all. I just want you to get around with people that used to do drugs that's not no more, and just hang out with them, listen to them. Ask them a few questions. It doesn't have to be done all in one day, because we didn't get here in one night, right? I think we try to do too much too quick. We don't see, you know, self-esteem, self-respect, and all that kind of. Recovery's not a right or wrong thing. It's a fall and get up thing. You know what I'm saying? Every time you fall, you get up, you get the self-esteem, you get the self-respect. There's characteristics like grit, motivation, determination, critical thinking, courage that we've been using in our active addiction. So recovery is not something you need to be taught. You already know how to do recovery. Your addiction's been teaching you by using your best qualities, but making you use those qualities to stay in active addiction. You already have all the tools for recovery. You just need to start seeing it in a different perspective. By getting around people that are seeing it the same way, you don't have to learn this. It's not something you have to learn. You already know how to do this. All I need you to do is just keep getting up, every time you fall, because 20 years of active addiction, 12 years of methadone, 120 milligrams, I was written off. We're never written off as long as you're waking up. And then people, like you said, losing limbs. I don't even care if you're fucking 60 years old. You get off of it, you will become such a beacon for so many people that are in their 60s and 70s that are giving up on life. I don't hear people's thank yous today. I get to see it in their eyes. It's a whole different type of thank you. I gave up on myself. I had suicide letters. I've been there. I've done that. All we need you to do is give yourself the opportunity. Get around people that can get you recovery, just like you're around people right now that are getting you your drugs.
So when Andrea and Mike, when y'all go and talk to these high people in the offices or whatever about this awareness and everything, what y'all think about their plans, how aware they are? What they trying to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
I second that.
you know, there's a lot of good people out there trying to do a lot of good work, right? The idea that I have to convince somebody that they should be working on this issue is like, what? Like, a piece of a pill killed my kid, which I still can't even get. And I hear that many times a day from other parents. I thought it was a lie when I got that phone call. That doesn't make sense to me still. People are vanishing right before our eyes. And so this is a national security crisis. You know, they're not having this issue in China. Their kids aren't all addicted. So they don't allow this there. And it's coming into our country, and we're just watching it happen. I feel like we're just as criminal as the people that are bringing this over at this point.
Where's it coming from?
China.
The precursors are made
They
in
grew
China.
the cartel in Mexico.
So these are transnational criminals, right? And they need to be treated as such. And we're letting this happen to our country. I believe that that needs to be addressed. And I can teach prevention, right? I can help to push to change laws and legislation. I can work with law enforcement. But I can't go down to these cartels or these transnational criminals, is what we call them, and have that make them stop.
I advise don't do that, please.
I'm like, bueno.
we like you. We don't want you to do that. No, please don't do that. That's a tough one.
So, but our government can address these things with other governments, and they should be doing that. And that's where we need them to come in. I think that people that all communities are different, but this is affecting every community. People in every community should be working on this because we're losing an entire generation of kids.
Your main push right now, is it to get more focus or actual bill passed that we're not, are they legally allowing fentanyl come in? Like, I mean,
it comes through legal ports only because, like, when these truckers pick up their trailers, they're not allowed to inspect their cargo. Yeah. So it's, you could shut down the border. It's already here. It's here. So, like, what do we do now that it's here?
We need to, in my opinion, I would address sanctions to China, because that's a big issue. And it's not the only country where fentanyl precursors come from. And there's thousands and thousands of these, okay? So they tweak it a little bit, and then you've got another one that's, just going through the process. It's not really illegal yet. And so we do have to look at sanctioning these other countries, and I think that we need bigger securities. But, like Mike was talking about COVID, why wasn't there messaging on this in a big, big way? Consistently.
That's easy.
5
Big
years
Pharma
ago.
isn't getting funded.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't a Big Pharma issue because Big Pharma isn't bringing these in. Big Pharma started this perfect storm, though, right? They got everybody hooked on prescription painkillers, and then we took them away. Yeah. So it was a perfect storm for the cartel. The cartel's creative, and they keep doing good work for themselves, right? Reaching our kids through social media. Who would have ever even thought that? Yeah. So we've got to teach prevention, because that's the biggest thing that we have. The biggest support that we have is stopping it before it starts, and getting to these kids. And so Mike's telling you that we're not the DARE program. We're not telling you to do drugs, right? But the bottom line now is really the time. If you weren't ever going to do a drug, now's the time to never do a drug, right?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
It's in everything.
Do not fuck around.
Don't fuck around with that.
But when we say do not do something, you think about doing it, right? We're just bringing a whole different message.
What are some examples
find out.
that the people's in the office is telling you how they're gonna attack it?
Well, like I said, legislation, and they're listening to us. DEA has put their hand out to us as families, and we've begun to work with them. But we still need solutions, right? DEA is not trained to be parent advocates, and they're trained to investigate these drug cases. So they're trying. This is a new drug. No one knows how to approach, right? But you still have to do something. You can't stay stagnant and do nothing and watch people die.
Because I don't know, I might be mistaken, but wasn't some type of fentanyl used in hospitals for some reason?
This is illicit fentanyl. So this isn't the fentanyl that's in hospital. The whole medical compound and analogs. This is illicit fentanyl. It's not like the patches.
But you bring up a good point, because people see
Might
the
get it
news,
twisted.
right?
Might get it
and
twisted.
they see prescription fentanyl in these
Exactly,
graphics, right? And so they think that's what we're talking about. We're not. This is illicit fentanyl, a street drug. No problem with prescription fentanyl, although that's been abused like every other drug out there at some point. But that's not what we're talking about.
So, because once again, I had no idea. So the fentanyl in the hospital, that is not directly.
No. It's been changed. The medical compound, the analogs, always being changed. Like it's not the pouches.
This is made out in a jungle somewhere.
Yeah, this is made not with doctors.
Who the fuck are these chemists that are just popping this shit off?
Well, that's
why.
But
So
did it start?
You could get one pill that could kill 5 people, enough fentanyl in it, and the next pill don't have any fentanyl in it. They're not mixing it correct. They don't care.
They're not measuring it.
They're nothing.
They're not measuring
it's
it.
like
It's
in
out
some
in
jungle
clandestine
somewhere
lab.
in Mexico. Wow.
That's insane.
That's why it's so cheap to make. Listen, I sold drugs. I never cut my drugs with a stronger agent, right? They're cutting drugs with a 50 to 100 times stronger agent. And then it's, then the addicts are selling to support their habits. So we're pressing pills now. You could buy these machines on Amazon. That shouldn't be allowed either unless you're a pharmacy or something. Like there's so many precautions that could be taken. And then you have these chemicals, right, that you have to buy. Like we could track through, because everything's electronic. If you see 3 different types of chemicals going on one address, we already know what those chemicals are being used for. Like you could start tracking that and start stopping things from happening. But all these programs cost a lot of money, and that's, I guess, one of their excuses.
We
Or
work
the
the
privacy
pill.
protection and blah blah blah.
Yeah, we worked the pill press issue for a long time, and you can't believe all that's behind that. Just trying to stop that, and if you're, you and I can go on and order it in pieces. Everybody always finds a way around things, and so we've got to just get to that core, and we've got to get back in our kids' face, right? Because we need in-person prevention. Because we went through this time of COVID, we lost control. We put our kids into these machines and the social media, internet, and all of this, and it used their time. But look at them now. Look how many we lost during that time. We've got to get back to making our youth the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yo, it's just so much, right?
Yeah.
I purposefully do not look too much into these subjects because I do want to have in-person experience when I'm exchanging this. Because my thought process is, hopefully someone as unaware as I am is listening, and I'm asking the dumb questions that they're thinking of. You know what I mean? Like,
they're not dumb.
it's just wild. All right, like I've said it throughout this whole fucking episode because number one, I had no idea of the indirect and all these things. If you guys were to call something you did a win, or be happy about a milestone or a goal, what would it be?
Well, I remember a couple of years ago going somewhere with my husband, and it had to do with Ashley's federal case. And it was miserable. All those things were so miserable, and it would take the life out of you. And we had a joyful event also that day. And it had to do with the advocacy that I was doing. And he brought something to my attention. He said, how could we ever have imagined that from something so tragic, something so devastating, that we would see a piece of joy come from that? So this young lady, her story, her life wasn't about those last moments, right? Dying from fentanyl. She has saved many, many people. I will never know. And I know that her story has traveled the world, much like many of the friends that I have now that from other impacted families. their children's faces are known, and they've saved a lot of lives. So to me, we've brought some positivity out of that horrible, circumstance in our life of losing Ashley. She's still a light. I thought when she was here that she would do something wonderful and she'd be famous in some way someday, change the world. And I believe she has. And then when I look at Michael and think about, I asked him the other day, we were driving 1,300 miles to Montana, and I said, did you ever think that you'd be sitting in this car for 13 hours with an old lady, somebody's grandma, driving to Montana? He's from Brooklyn. And I said, I certainly would not have pictured myself in here with someone that was using heroin for the last 20 years and, hanging out with my grandson. So things change. And I think that's it. I think the continuation to work with someone like Michael that is doing this for the greater good, right? Like, he believes in this and he knows it's right. And that's where I am on this. I don't... it's the purest of missions, right? Because it was my daughter. And so that road I'll never stray from. You couldn't offer me enough money or a big enough thing to stray from that. We just need to save lives here. And so he's doing the same thing. I think that's a win.
Yeah, definitely a win.
For me, I guess I'll piggyback on Andrea. Every day that I get to wake up and just get this message out there and have it reach whoever it reaches, whether I know them or not, it's a win.
Yo, those COVID commercials just cost $200 million.
200 million?
Yeah, the airtime.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? To be on TV and all that. 'Cause I remember doing the math on an episode because we were talking about where the money was going. And basically the people making money were the ad buyers.
Well, not to cut you off, telling me networks was charging people during COVID to...
Fuck yeah. Ain't nothing free.
Shit. I would have thought it would have been...
Oh, you thought it was like a public service
Yeah,
announcement?
that's what I thought it was the whole time, bro. Jesus.
Fuck out of here.
That's more than the Super Bowl commercial.
Well, I'm talking about over time.
Over the time.
Not
Cool.
the 5-second slots, 200 million. Bang.
Dr. Fauci, 200 million.
That's a lot of money, though.
Nah, but it's bribe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm trying to think, because the reality is this: to generate whatever result we're aiming, and if it's awareness and you want that level, because you reference COVID, and I'm like, yo, you're referencing COVID. I'm talking about 200 million only for New York, by the way. Not I don't know about
the whole. Well,
yeah, right. New York. That budget was for that.
Jesus.
200 million just for ad buying time, and so when I'm thinking, when you're sharing awareness and you mentioned COVID. And I'm like, shit, is that the type of bread we need? That's the type of level of investment you're talking about, because people are dying, people are being poisoned, people are dying, and no one knows what the fuck is going on, because it's being thrown around as if it were only an addict issue, and the optics of what an addict is, people naturally associate it to junkie. So if they associate junkie, they dismiss it, they throw this whole fucking awareness and idea of what people are fucking going through under the rug. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I don't see all those dollar signs. What we do just from our own resources.
No. But I'm talking about.
Well, I guess if for the government to put something out,
our
I guess.
Administration, I don't believe they charge the president when he's doing press conferences.
Yeah, he could talk about it in his press conference.
That's true too.
Our administration.
And the 100,000, that number, it's not even for last year. Like CDC came out with that. That's 2 years ago. We still haven't even gotten the number for last year.
For the
200,000 people.
100,000 died from 21 to 22, right?
107,000, 21 to 22, April to
So
April.
the April of this past year, we should have got the new numbers, and we still haven't gotten it. So I don't even know how many people died in COVID, but we definitely surpassed that just in 2 years in fentanyl alone, right?
The data's so off that
I don't even think...
And they're not even investigating a lot of them, because if they think, like you said, it's an addict and it's an overdose and not a poison, autopsies aren't being, they're just throwing it underneath the rug. So you know how many lives are just being forgotten? Like, people are just disappearing.
But I don't even think I even seen a fentanyl commercial, bro.
Nick,
we had something in
not
the
even
Super Bowl,
not
right?
even like a
Didn't we have something running in the Super Bowl?
We had some social media.
Oh, yeah?
I did see something in the Super Bowl about someone talking to kids in school and saying,
during the Super Bowl. So we
About
had
fentanyl?
ads that were running with like, you know, the over-under. Because in a day, so every day, it's a 747. So just picture a 747 jet crashing every day in the United States and everybody dying.
Wow.
That's fentanyl.
You brought up a really good point, because you don't have to know everything about fentanyl, because you're sitting here, your mind's blown with the information we're giving you, right? And we could go on all night
Yeah,
long.
I see your face.
But, you know, I could tell you about grandparents raising grandkids, 2, 3 of them, because they've lost one or both parents to fentanyl, and these people are seniors with little babies. The stories go on and on and on. But you don't have to know all of it. You just have to share what you know. So if you will tell somebody, please, 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 just share it. Something as simple as these cards that we give out that have fentanyl facts, and just let people know how dangerous this is. I mean, like, there's no do-over here. There's no going back from this. And we've got to get with youth and tell them about the Michaels, right? Like and the Ashleys. Michael made it out. Ashley didn't. And so they've got to know all of this, and their stories are the most impactful, rather than a health school listen. You know, that's good too. But there's a lot of parents out there also that can share these stories, and that's what we need to do. We need to get to
we
these
need
kids.
more people to start coming out. I know there's a stigma. Some parents don't want to talk about their child dying because they don't want their child to look like an addict. You have no idea, like, Ashley's saved so many lives. Like, your child's story could save lives, so other parents don't have to go through what you're going through. Like, people have to start coming out of the woodworks and screaming it from the mountains until we get loud enough to where we put the pressure on them.
But you brought up a good point, because there's probably a lot of parents out there that had this tragic happen to them, and they'll be ashamed.
Yes.
To
there is
put
a lot.
the child's
Even
story
people
out.
like in our community, how many of us are in recovery for years with great jobs and still afraid to come out and say, I'm in recovery?
Right.
Like, you need to start coming out. We need to start showing other people, like, yo, you're a CEO, great, to let people know what your life was. You know how many politicians are in recovery that aren't saying they're in recovery, that if they did do that, you know what I'm saying, what that would give hope and inspiration to? That's why I'm as loud with my recovery as I was with my addiction. You knew I was an addict from 6 miles away. You're going to know I'm in recovery from 10 miles away now. Like, I'm screaming it. Dude, say whatever you want. I'm not doing it for the people that are judging me. I'm doing it for the people that don't believe in themselves. I'm willing to take the hits. Call me whatever you want to call me. God looks at me a certain way. Man's opinion of me don't matter.
Yo, but why isn't fucking Biden's son on y'all rocking
That's
with
true.
y'all?
That's right.
Yo, that motherfucker.
They got a lot of things.
That would be the best campaign that was ever out there, right?
Yo, it's so true.
We talk about that all the time, Mike and I, because I'm
Biden
like,
should be siding
tell
with
your
us.
story,
You're right,
man,
though, but-
and you could have like totally rocked this whole problem in the last couple of years.
But I don't think he's in recovery, is he?
Yeah,
Nah,
no.
I'm
I don't
smoking
think-
crack.
yeah,
I don't care that, bro.
But they got a lot of situations to go through. Yeah. Damn.
But the president could come out and say, like, look, I'm even dealing with this with my son. Like, and tell the American people, like, this is everyone's problem. Let's come together. He has an opportunity with his platform. Who knows? Maybe he's waiting for his next run.
But
of
he's
his
probably
election.
one of those
But, like,
parents.
he has an opportunity to really change this and turn this around, and he's not. So, therefore, we're not waiting for legislation or law. We're going to do this ourselves. And that's what the community, because we're the United States of America, right? If we could all unite, like we hold concerts, my event coordinator, Anthony Beltran, big shout out to him. You know, we put these concerts on, and the concerts bring legislation, the law enforcement, the families impacted, recovery community, people in treatment, regular quote unquote normies, all to one place.
Normies? That's
All to one place. To spread awareness, not just that, to become a community again, right? And that's why, you know, what we're doing in California is really starting to push. And I got to give big shout out to our event coordinator, LT Bench, because he does it all himself. Though.
Yeah, he's great.
I think Biden is one of those parents that is ashamed.
Fuck yeah, man.
I don't even know if
He's like, I'm
knows
president
what
of the
his
United
name
States.
is
I can't be
anymore.
talking about
Guys shaking hands for people that aren't there.
Yeah.
He's reading the teleprompter, every word that says pause and stop. You know, so this is where we're at.
That's
man.
true
And
too.
it's
That's
sad
very
that
true
we're
too.
laughing
That's
because of
very
how
true
sad
too.
it is.
I see that you got baptized not too long ago.
I got baptized, yes.
Congrats. I don't know if you say congrats on that, right?
Yeah, you
Do
say congrats. And then
Cool.
we
Congrats.
Andrea and I have the pleasure of working with the Native American communities as
Nice.
well. So we go to reservations observations because fentanyl is affecting them just as much as anyone else. And I did a sweat lodge. That was like getting baptized all over again. You guys, yo, sweat lodge is serious, bro. Serious, but it was dope. Yeah, man, it's one of the best ways to be humble is for me, you know, become more like Jesus. You know, he washed feet, man. He rode in on a donkey as the king, you know. So for me, that's what just works for me. Again, I don't tell people to find them, but I do suggest you find some kind of spirituality. I'm a spiritual being having human experiences. I'm no longer a human being.
That happened in the beginning of your recovery, or
no,
when it progressed?
Towards I mean, the spirituality was coming there, but not where it is today until my mentor calls it the love drug. So that girlfriend broke up with me, and love is just like another drug. The routine is taken away. You go through withdrawal, just like an addict does. Made me, you know, reach out to people that have more experience in life. And that was the first time I really did something like that. Like go to someone and be like, as a man, right? The true weakness in life is to act like you're strong all the time.
Yeah.
And finding your tribe. We were just talking
and
about
I found my tribe, and you know, people, you know, transgender, gays, lesbians, tattoos on your face, piercings, like that's my Christian group, you know, because Jesus would have loved us all regardless of where we are and who we identify as. He'd still love us all. So my ministry loves you for who you are and where you are in this moment.
That's good.
Yeah, man.
I mean, because the long history that religion has is not too welcoming. Brother Dre Drizzle, last call for words.
Yes, well, I don't even know where to start. Thank y'all so much for everything y'all doing. I work in this field. I see it every day, and you know, there's not a lot of people talking about the effects that it's doing to families and people themselves. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, and you know, keep fighting the fight. I will be there. Congratulations on all your success too.
Thank
I will be there.
August 21st.
August 21st. Times Square Takeover.
Times Square Takeover, August 21st.
21st, and you coming on
Dr. Phil, May 17th. Check your local listings.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much, guys.
So I'll do mine in two parts. So first, regarding the fentanyl, something's not your problem until it becomes your problem, and then you're wondering why nothing was done about the problem. So before fentanyl becomes your problem, be part of the solution. Go to facingfentanylnow.org, get your information, spread the information. As far as just life, motto I live by, be yourself, everyone else is taken.
Be yourself, everyone else is taken.
Damn.
Coño, te tigre.
Fuck.
Yo, man,
Jesus.
How many quotes you got? Do you have them fucking memorized?
It's really hard to follow, Mike. I wish I was second. But yeah, I would just say that, you know, it starts at home. Please just find the information out if you don't know. You can go to our website at facingfentanylnow.org, and you can find out fentanyl facts, tools to share with your kids. We have some videos there that aren't your typical videos. They're real life stories that you can watch together and, you know, educate your kids about the dangers of fentanyl. And if you know about fentanyl, just please share what you know. It's that simple. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming. I said it, you know, several times. It's wild.
Wild.
Because there's just so many realities, and I am a strong believer in associative optics, because a lot of decisions are being made on the optics, and not believer because but fucking people don't got time or make time or even put effort into critical thinking, and that's the unfortunate part. And these are the harsh realities of, you know, being people of color, being in our communities. We've been dismissed from the beginning. And so when you add on a shit ton of challenges, you throw in another fucking layer of problems, and then the pressing issues of the economics, the financing, the job opportunities, the family, it's so much shit. It's a lot. And it all becomes very, very, very heavy. However, the fact of what you guys also just threw in today to even educate me further on compassion and empathy is the unsuspecting approach of people not even knowing what it is. Because, me personally, I was not aware of it. I just didn't care to look into it. That's my full transparency. You know, as I mentioned in the beginning, my issue in my neighborhood was syringe litter. And I looked into it because I'm like, yo, why is this happening? And there's, you know, so many subset of issues. My association with fentanyl was heroin users. And I was like, shit, man, this is wild. This is what people are using. Today, you educated me on a whole nother thing, on a whole nother possibility and realm of realities that I'm like, holy fuck, you know, there's an unsuspecting subset of people that don't know what the fuck is about to hit them. And that's what makes it even scarier and more real. Because the whole DARE exchange of when I was a kid and don't do drugs, that wasn't what didn't make me not want to do drugs. I smoked weed a couple times. I felt mad fucking tired. I ain't really care for it. It wasn't my shit, right? I drink on occasion. If not, I drink quite often and I enjoy it, but I don't drink to get drunk, right? And it's like all these things, but what is a necessity? A necessity of living and enjoying every day, being happy. Happiness subjective. Happiness isn't sustainable. There's a lot of things, right? But yo, just the fucking universal moral laws of right. If there's a fucking problem, if people need help, let's help them. If there's a problem, let's address it. This seems like a very big fucking problem.
Yeah.
The quality of life has just been thrown out the window.
Yeah.
You just don't care.
It's a lot. And, you know, and how do we address this problem becomes even a deeper conversation. You know, you guys obviously have your mission, have your efforts, and I hope what I can do from this takeaway is potentially and possibly anyone that listens is to destigmatize the idea of who is an addict, what is an addict. Because that shit was real, what you shared about, you know, the addictive behavior and all, like that shit was deep. But also, who is an addict? You know, your daughter did not, she was a victim. She wasn't an addict. She fell victim and got poisoned. Like, there's a lot of shit. And when people are watching the news and they're seeing a media blurb or a fucking headline that is just, at this point, dressed as clickbait, you know, fentanyl is attacking addicts and is ravaging through our country. Like, shit, it doesn't make anybody want to say, it look into it any more than what it really is. It really dismisses people, throws them under the rug, and that's the very big unfortunate reality. But I really hope that what anyone listening is what they can take away is the idea of what is an addict. Be aware of what your people are doing, period. Like, just these things, like, yo, if you telling me people are taking fucking prescription drugs, or if they can't afford prescription drugs, they're buying it on the streets, and then they're getting hit with that, and yo, it's just fucking wild. I mean, you guys, you know, seem very subdued, but to me, this is crazy. Because, like,
we hear these stories all the time.
Yo, bro, but I think, like, if we were to, like, just say it to people like that, like, my man, you might think you buying Tylenol and somebody's giving you some other shit, and you gonna be fucked for the rest of your life. That shit will really put motherfucking fear of God in people's hearts. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just words. Nobody.
Maybe those are the words for our next podcast.
What the fuck?
But yo, once again, guys, I appreciate. No, you won't.
I want to give a couple of shout outs to Brother Jeff for putting, calling you and making this happen. Tribe Worldwide, Sisters Legacy, I think it is, and
Living Legacy,
and Sisters Keepers and a lot of other good organizations. There's some fight out there.
Just give me the links. We'll put it up, and we'll share as well.
Y'all amazing.
Yo,
y'all amazing. I
Dre,
appreciate
you. Mike, appreciate you. Andrea, appreciate you, man. And thank you. I look into your eyes, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I see the vulnerability. It's a lot, and I thank you very much for sharing not only your mission, your passion, and your experience. because as difficult as I'm sure it was, and I know it is, and I look into your eyes, man, you still fighting the good fight, and I just wanted to verbalize that. I thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you,
all of you, in all aspects. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is Ron Kane.
I appreciate it.
This is just words. We do really care with us, you know. It's just I'm playing on the fucking irony, but after all these deep conversations,
we do really care.
It's like I'm like, damn, do I say it? Just words nobody cares.
Yeah, no, we care.
But I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we hope, man, everybody just figures out something in life. So let's go.
Yeah, that was amazing.
You're wonderful.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best interviews we've
Yes,
had.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. This is
we've
my
done a lot of
favorite.
good ones too, and you know this one was dope.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys and your time and
Taking your time and your busy schedule. I know y'all hitting
God has
every
us
state in
where
the country.
He needs us to have us exactly when He
appreciate
needs
y'all
us to.
coming and showing love. It's amazing.
Man, it's I don't know what it is to recreate and not to relive the moments you shared, and on both sides, like, but then again, you know, it has to be a vivid picture. You got in order to get people to listen.
When you speak from a place of pain, not intelligence. People need to feel the words, not understand the words. Everyone understands good from bad. People don't really feel it until someone that's been there and lived through it and came out of it speaks with it, with the vulnerability you're talking about. And you feel our words. You're not just understand, like you're feeling it, right? If you're in a place of really trying to comprehend. And that's all we try to do.